Fight Club and The Dark Knight are considered two of the greatest movies of all time. They're both unfathomably dark and twisted, but a similar type of vibe and aesthetic is where you might assume the similarities end. However, if you thought that, you'd be wrong.
$10 says you're wrong.
In fact, these two movies are a lot more intertwined than you may have ever imagined, because Fight Club is actually a prequel to The Dark Knight. Yep, you heard that correctly. Fight Club and The Dark Knight are linked because Tyler Durden is actually the Joker's origin story.
And here we go.
If you really break it down and think about it for a moment, the parallels are uncanny. There's no way that this isn't one and the same person. For starters, let's talk about those scars. The Joker is notorious for his Glasgow smile. Throughout the film, he gives multiple explanations as to how he received those hideous scars.
You wanna know how I got these scars?
But the story never stays consistent. He's always telling a different tale, which leads us to believe that he can't be trusted as someone telling the truth. On one occasion, he says that he got the scars from his abusive father.
My father was a drinker.
In another instance, he claims to have done it to himself in order to win back the affection of a depressed spouse.
I stick a razor in my mouth and do this.
He keeps flip-flopping without ever giving a consistent, concrete answer. That's because the real story behind his scar is that he shot himself. Spoiler alert, but remember the ending of Fight Club? It concludes with the narrator, the other half of Tyler Durden's split personality, shooting himself in the mouth. He survived the gunshot wound, only hideously scarred.
Are you alright, sir?
Oh yeah, I'm okay.
These stories that the Joker tells are BS because the true story is that he shot himself at the end of Fight Club. The narrator did so in an attempt to eliminate the Tyler part of his brain. But what if, instead, it was the narrator who was wiped out? Furthermore, in the Fight Club book, which came out first and was then adapted to the big screen, the narrator goes a bit crazy and challenges the entire Fight Club to fights. In one of those bouts, he splits open half of his cheek. Soon after that, he shoots out the other cheek. He even describes the wounds as, quote, a smile like a dragon of avarice. So that explains that. Then there's the fact that they both suffer from mental health issues, specifically split personality disorder.
Running around your underpants? Man, you look like a crazy person.
The relationship between Tyler Durden and the narrator is a turbulent one to say the least. It's only revealed much later on in the movie that they're one and the same person. That's kind of the big twist of Fight Club, that the two main characters turn out to be the same character. Despite being the same person, they each had their own distinct personalities and lives. They're so drastically different that we're easily led to believe they're two separate people, making the big reveal all the more shocking. The Joker is no different. There's been multiple personas over the decades, with the most recent film introducing the character of Arthur Fleck, played by Joaquin Phoenix. In the case of the Joker from The Dark Knight, very little is known of his backstory or his real persona. We know nothing about his origins. When they arrest him near the start of the film, Mayor Garcia asks what they got on the guy, and Commissioner Gordon replies, quote,
Nothing. No matches on prints, DNA, dental, clothing is custom, no labels.
Nothing in his pockets but knives and lint. No name, no other alias. However, in the comic book source material, there's a line in The Killing Joke where the Joker says the line, quote, if I'm gonna have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice. That implies that the Joker has dealt with split personality or multiple personality disorder in the past. So the guy has no known background, but we do know that he's had different personalities.
Where is he?
The evidence is starting to add up. Let's discuss how Tyler Durden and the Joker were both agents of chaos. They're both phenomenal leaders with loyal followers that'll do basically anything they tell them to. Tyler has the Space Monkeys, who will do anything for him and believe in his teachings religiously. He's almost like a cult leader to these people. Not only are they members of his Fight Club, but the Space Monkeys pull off dangerous plans intent on disrupting the norm. Tyler's actions are all about trying to display that the individual has more power than they might think. He's a man who wants to empower others, but does so through mischief and anarchy. The Joker, on the other hand, has henchmen who obey him regardless of his orders. He exists to cause chaos. That's quite literally it. He even explains his motives during the hospital scene with Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight.
Hi.
He compares himself to a dog chasing a car. He doesn't know what he'd do if he ever caught up to the car, but it's just in his nature to chase it. While Tyler uses chaos as a tool to disrupt the status quo and create anarchy, the Joker is the next evolution of that mentality, simply creating chaos because he enjoys it. You know what they say, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Neither character were in it for selfish reasons or capitalistic monetary reasons. They didn't want money or fame or anything like that. They just wanted to see the world burn, and used their overwhelming charisma to lead others towards the same cause. Another interesting parallel between both Tyler Durden and the Joker is their love interests. Tyler Durden has Marla Singer, with whom he shared a turbulent and definitely unhealthy relationship with. She would go to support groups just to watch for her own entertainment while enjoying some free coffee. The narrator even originally meets her at a testicular cancer support group, which she clearly does not belong to. She's an extremely troubled and tormented character, while also being a very strong-willed and intelligent one at the same time. That's not at all unlike Harley Quinn, the Joker's on-again, off-again girlfriend. Their relationships are almost identical in that sadistic, loving kind of way. Marla was so committed to her deranged lover, there's no telling what lengths she would go to follow him or what she would do to win his affection. That's the exact same recipe that created Harley Quinn. Despite Harley not appearing in The Dark Knight, we do know that she exists in the DC cinematic universe, having appeared in Suicide Squad, as well as the upcoming Birds of Prey movie. Now let's talk about the similarities between how both films end. Both movies conclude with the character alone at the top of an abandoned building. As previously mentioned, Fight Club ends with the narrator shooting himself following a particularly massive strike by the Space Monkeys. He feels responsible for the carnage, since it was technically his other half orchestrating the whole thing. He can't stand his hatred for his brain's roommate anymore, and tries to just end it all. In The Dark Knight, the movie culminates with a similar type of orchestrated attack. This time, it's Batman who manages to save the day and stop the Joker from executing his master plan. The last we see of the clown is a shot of him hanging upside down by his feet, dangling outside the top of a building while laughing hysterically. In neither case do we really know what happens to the character afterwards. Both films end on a pretty vague and open-ended note, meaning there could certainly be room for interpretation. Okay, so if Fight Club is really a prequel to The Dark Knight, then what happened in between those two films to make Tyler Durden transform into the Joker officially? The theory goes that the narrator attempts to eliminate Tyler Durden by shooting out his cheek on the top of the building at the end of Fight Club. He's taken to the hospital, where he remains in a coma for quite some time. During his stay and his subsequent unconscious state, he's consistently visited by the Space Monkeys, who keep telling him about all these plans that they continue to execute. The narrator, who subconsciously keeps hearing all of these updates, doesn't want to rejoin the world where he's the ringleader of such a group. Ultimately, the Tyler part of his brain wins and completely takes over. However, the events in that building did a number on Tyler as well. He isn't the same guy he used to be. That gunshot caused him to go over the deep end, and he completely loses his mind. He wakes up from his coma, fully in control and now with some disfiguring scars, and more sick and twisted than ever. The Joker is born. Cut to the bank robbery scene at the beginning of The Dark Knight, and there you have it. The whole story wrapped up perfectly. Before you go, let's take a look at some comments from the past week. In reference to our Keanu Reeves video, Jet1024 writes, quote, "He should play Doctor Strange when Ben is done," which marks the first time I've ever in my life heard Benedict Cumberbatch simply referred to as Ben. I'm not sure how I feel about that. In the same comment section, I Am Sanity writes, quote, "Keanu as Wolverine wouldn't be that bad," followed immediately by GamerKing0504 writing, quote, "Keanu as Wolverine would be amazing." I can think of no better single image that completely captures the essence of the internet than this one. Finally, Tristiano's Stuff commented, quote, "Theories," end quote. An astute synopsis of our channel. We thank you. So what do you guys think about this Tyler Durden Joker comparison? Does it make any sense, or can you think of any holes that may disprove it? Sound off in the comments section down below. Before you go, make sure to hit that thumbs up button so that we know you enjoyed it, and make sure to subscribe by hitting that little bell icon so that you'll be notified when we release our next video. Until next time, bye!